I never imagined that the two people I trusted the most in this world would be the ones to betray me in the most humiliating way possible. In today's story, I'm going to tell you how my loving, devoted husband and my so-called best friend turned my life into a nightmare, and how I slowly, carefully, and ruthlessly took everything from him in the divorce, while they both watched their perfect little fantasy collapse. If you enjoy long, emotional revenge stories where betrayal meets cold, intelligent justice, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay until the very end, because the way this story ends is not what they expected, but it's exactly what they deserved. My name is Claire, and for most of my adult life, I believed in the idea of building a life with one person, one partner, one home, one future. I grew up in a small town, in a very ordinary family. My parents didn't have much money, but they stayed together through every crisis, every argument, every problem. To me, loyalty wasn't just a word. It was the foundation of everything. I met Mark when I was 24, working as a receptionist in a small law firm while finishing my business degree at night. He was charming in that quiet, attentive way that makes you feel like you are the only person in the room. He'd bring me coffee when I had late shifts, walk me to my car when it was dark, and ask me about my dreams as if he genuinely cared. We started dating, and within a year, he proposed. Nothing extravagant, just a simple dinner, a ring he said he had saved for, and a promise that we would conquer the world together. I believed every word. We got married in a modest ceremony. No luxury, no huge venue, but a lot of smiles, a lot of hope, and one person in particular who made that day feel even brighter. My best friend, Olivia. Olivia and I had been best friends since high school. We had gone through everything together: heartbreaks, exams, family drama, bad jobs, you name it. She was the type of friend who would show up at my door with snacks and wine when I was crying over something stupid, and stay until I fell asleep on the couch. When she met Mark, they got along immediately. She joked that he was too good to be true, and that if I wasn't careful, someone would try to steal him. We all laughed about it at the time. I thought it was just harmless teasing. As the years passed, my life with Mark felt stable, almost predictable. We bought a small house together, both got better jobs, and started talking about having kids in a few years, when things were more stable. On weekends, we often invited Olivia over for dinner. We cooked, played games, watched movies, and I felt proud that my best friend and my husband got along so well. Looking back now, I can see all the red flags that I chose to ignore. There were little things at first, moments that lasted only a few seconds, but left a strange taste in my mouth. Like the time I walked into the kitchen and found them standing closer than usual, laughing about a joke they didn't explain to me. Or the time I noticed Mark had liked almost every single photo Olivia posted on social media, even the more revealing ones. The ones I would normally expect a happily married man to scroll past. Once, during a game night, I saw them exchange a quick look when I mentioned that I had to work late for the next few weeks because of a new project. It wasn't a guilty look, just something. Something my brain classified as weird, but my heart immediately dismissed as paranoia. I trusted them. I trusted him as my husband, and I trusted her as my sister in everything but blood. So I shoved every uncomfortable feeling deep, deep down, and told myself I was being insecure for no reason. But betrayal rarely starts big. It starts with little cracks in the wall until one day, everything falls apart. The day everything changed started like any other. I went to work, stressed about deadlines, thinking about what I would cook for dinner, and mentally organizing my week. Around lunchtime, my boss told me I could leave early because a client had canceled an important meeting. I remember thinking, great, I'll surprise Mark. Maybe we can finally have a quiet evening together. On my way home, I stopped and picked up some of his favorite takeout food. I imagined walking in, kissing him, and maybe watching a movie together. I hadn't told him I'd be home early because I wanted it to be a sweet surprise. When I pulled into the driveway, I saw a car I recognized immediately, Olivia's. I smiled at first, assuming she had come over to hang out and maybe wait for me. Maybe we would all have dinner together, laugh, and talk the way we always did. I unlocked the front door quietly, balancing the food in my hands. The house was strangely silent. No TV, no music, just the faint sound of something upstairs. Muffled voices, then a soft laugh. Her laugh. I felt my heart pound, not because I knew what was happening yet, but because something in me suddenly didn't want to go upstairs. My instincts screamed at me to leave, to walk away, to stay ignorant, but my feet ignored them. Step by step, I climbed the stairs, each one heavier than the last. The bedroom door was half open. I heard Mark's voice, low and intimate, saying something like, "You know we have to be careful." Then Olivia giggled and whispered, "She doesn't suspect a thing." The world tilted. I pushed the door open. Time slowed down. There they were, in my bed. My husband, my best friend. Entangled in the sheets that I had washed the day before, in the room where we had planned our future children, in the home I had poured my savings into. For a moment, none of us moved. Olivia's face turned pale, her mouth opening and closing like she was underwater. Mark stumbled, trying to cover himself, saying my name as if that would somehow make it better. People always talk about screaming, throwing things, breaking down when they catch someone cheating. I thought I would be like that too. But in that moment, something else happened. My body went cold. The pain was so intense that it wrapped itself around me like ice, numbing everything on the surface. I stood there, silent, just looking at them. "Claire, this isn't what it looks like," Mark started, because apparently even in the most cliché moment of his life, he had to use the most cliché line. I laughed, not out of humor, but out of disbelief. I looked at Olivia, the girl who had cried in my arms when her ex cheated on her, the girl I had defended, supported, loved like a sister. "Get out," I said finally, my voice so calm it scared even me. "Both of you, get out of my house." They started talking over each other. Excuses, apologies, explanations. Olivia reached for me crying, saying it was a mistake, that it just happened, that she never meant to hurt me. Mark begged me not to overreact, as if he hadn't just burned down 10 years of trust in a single afternoon. I repeated myself, slowly, clearly. Get out. Eventually, they left. He left in a rush, still half-dressed. She left crying so loudly the neighbors probably heard. When the door finally closed behind them, I collapsed on the floor of my bedroom and cried until my throat hurt, until my head pounded, until there were no tears left. Then I stood up, washed my face, looked at myself in the mirror, and made a decision. If they thought they could destroy me and walk away with a simple sorry, they were both about to learn exactly who I was. Mark and I had been married long enough that our finances were deeply connected. We had a house together, bank accounts together, insurance together. On paper, we were a team. Emotionally, that team was now dead. Legally, however, I still had options. Instead of confronting him again, instead of screaming or begging or falling into the role of the wounded, desperate wife, I did something else. I made an appointment with a divorce attorney. Not just any attorney, one of the best in the city, recommended by a partner at the firm where I worked. I laid everything on the table. The years of marriage, the shared assets, the betrayal with my best friend. My lawyer listened quietly, took notes, and then looked me in the eyes. "If you want to, we can do this in a way that leaves you more than secure," she said. "But you have to be prepared to stay calm, play the long game, and not warn him too early." That was exactly what I wanted. We started collecting everything we could. Records of my financial contributions to the house and our accounts, emails and messages showing that I was the one handling most of the practical responsibilities. Every trace that proved I was the stable one, the reliable one, the one who kept everything running while he played the perfect husband. I also did something that still makes people raise their eyebrows when they hear this part. I didn't block him. I didn't throw him out immediately. I let him think there was still a chance to fix things. When Mark called me the next day, he sounded broken, exhausted, and suddenly very, very sorry. He begged to meet in person. I agreed, not because I wanted to, but because my lawyer had been clear. The more he incriminated himself voluntarily, the better. We met at a small cafe. His eyes were red, his hair a mess, his hands shaking. He told me it had been a stupid mistake, that he and Olivia had only been involved for a few months, that he had been confused, that it didn't mean anything. I listened. I didn't scream, didn't insult him. I let him talk, let him dig his own grave deeper and deeper with every detail he gave me. He promised he would cut Olivia out of his life completely, go to therapy, do anything to save our marriage. He said he would sleep on the couch, let me set the rules, give me full control over our finances, if that made me feel safer. That last part I noted very carefully. Over the next weeks, I played the role of the devastated but open to reconciliation wife. I let him move back in under strict emotional distance. I cooled off physically, but not legally. Behind the scenes, my lawyer and I were working nonstop. With his consent, I took more control over the accounts, the bills, the house paperwork. He signed things he didn't even read because he was too consumed by guilt and fear of losing me. All the while, I knew he was still talking to Olivia. Not as often, not as openly, but I knew. Cheaters rarely stop because they feel bad. They stop when there are consequences. So I became his consequence. 3 months after the day I found them in bed, I had everything I needed. My lawyer and I had built a strong case demonstrating that I was the more stable partner financially and emotionally, that I had been betrayed in a way that shattered the foundation of the marriage, and that I deserved the majority of what we had built together. One evening, I asked Mark to sit with me at the dining table. He looked hopeful, like a man about to receive a second chance. He smiled weakly and asked, "So, have you decided? Do you think we can start fresh?" I slid the divorce papers across the table. His face drained of color. He picked them up with shaking hands, reading the first page, then the second, then the sections carefully outlining exactly what I was asking for. The house, a significant portion of our savings, certain investments in my name, spousal support for a defined period. This isn't fair," he stammered. "This is everything, Claire." I looked at him, my voice calm, almost gentle. "No, Mark. This is what's left after what you and Olivia did. You took my trust, my dignity, my peace of mind. I'm just taking back what I can actually hold in my hands." He tried to argue, to say I was being cruel, that we could rebuild, that I was punishing him more than necessary. I reminded him quietly that if he chose to fight, we could go to court, where the judge would see the messages, the timeline, the way he had behaved. Where Olivia might be called as a witness, dragging his reputation even further through the mud. He signed. In that moment, the man who had once promised to protect my heart became nothing more than a signature on a set of legal documents. The divorce was finalized months later, and I walked away with almost everything that mattered on paper. The house was legally mine. The accounts were secure. I didn't feel rich, but I felt protected. Protected in a way I had never been emotionally with him. As for Mark and Olivia, they didn't ride off into the sunset together like some twisted fairy tale. They tried to make it work for a while, but a relationship built on betrayal rarely survives the weight of its own foundation. I heard from mutual acquaintances that they fought constantly, that she didn't trust him around other women, and he resented her for ruining his life. Eventually, they broke up, and he ended up alone, living in a small apartment, paying off debts and legal fees. Sometimes people ask me if I miss him or if I regret taking so much from him in the divorce. I always answer the same way. He took my heart, my trust, and my sense of safety when he chose to betray me with the person I loved like a sister. What I took from him was nothing more than a reflection of that loss. Except what I took can be measured, counted, and recovered. What I lost cannot. 11. CTA Final. If you listened to this story and felt the same mix of anger, sadness, and satisfaction that I did living through it, tell me in the comments what you would have done in my place. Would you have forgiven him, walked away with nothing, or gone even further than I did? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who needs a reminder that sometimes the best revenge is not screaming or begging, it's walking away with everything they never thought you'd have the strength to claim. And if you want more long, detailed revenge stories about betrayal, toxic relationships, and justice finally being served, stay tuned. There are many more coming.